Hello everyone, welcome back. In this part, we're going to talk about maps in JavaScript. We already know lots of types of things that we can save data inside of that. But one of the other things that we have in JavaScript is our map, which map holds two things, which one of them is our value and the other thing is our key. And map creates some relation between of these and save these pair together inside of itself. For creating map, we can use this simple syntax of creating some variable, which let's say we want to save our map inside of our a variable. And then we use this new and then our map function right here. And what we need to pass to this array, which again inside of this array, we got arrays right here. Let's say we have 3 of them, and inside of each array we need to have pair of value and the key. Let's say here we want to have the key to be our car's name. Let's say here we want to have a challenger right here, and for the value we want to save the horsepower of that, which for example this one is 807. Then let's say we have M4 right here, which this has 473. And after this, let's say we want to have Mustang, which this one has this horsepower. And let's say we want to add something to our map. We can use that by using our maps variable name, which is a right here, and then use our set function just right here. And we need to pass 2 parameters to our set function, which the first one again is our key. Let's say here we want to have car keyword for our key right here, and then 100 for our value. But after we use this, if we use our console log right here and pass our map variable to our console log and run our code, you can see that we got this type of printing inside of our console, which says this is map, has 4 items in it. We have this challenger key name, which refers to this number. Then we have this key and this value, this key with this, and this key with this value. And these are pairs that it saves. But let's say we want to grab value of some items inside of our map. Let's say we want this. For getting values, we can use our variable name again. Then we use our get function right here and pass the key that we created above of this to grab the value for us. And now if we console log this to our console and run our code, you can see that we grabbed that value from our map, which the key name and our key is M4 and the value is this number right here. And pay attention that if we check type of our variable, which saves our map, and run, you can see that we got object. So maps are objects themselves. But we have some differences between a simple object and maps right here. For example, in objects, we need to have our keys to be string only. But in maps, we can have anything that we want. For example, let's say we want to add another item to our map with our set function right here. And we want to put the key number 12 and the value to 150. And now if we use our get function right here and pass our number 12, which we set as key right here, and run our code, you can see that it grabs the value. So in maps, it doesn't matter what data type is your key, but in objects, you must use a string for your data types. And let's say we want to change all of our keys to be numbers. This is, let's say, number 4. This might be number 8, and this be number 15. And at the last, let's make this number 1. And now if we print our map only right here into our console, you can see that we got this kind of printing which all of the keys are numbers and values are numbers too. And another main difference of objects and maps are that objects are not iterable, but maps are iterable. So what's the usage is that we can use our forOf that we learned on our maps. So we have our simple for right here, our block of code, and here we use, for example, x of a, which is our map. And here we can simply console log our x into our console. And now if we run, you can see that we got our items inside of our map separately right here. But if we have this to be object and not map, we cannot do that thing. And one other thing that you need to know is that inside of maps, when we import our items into our maps, the map saves and remembers the order of insertion into itself and save this order that we put and we insert items into it. And in maps opposite of objects, we don't have any default keys, and we need to set our keys separately manually by ourselves. Now let's talk about our map functions and methods that we have. We already covered our map get and map set functions that in our get we give the key to here inside of our function, and this is going to give us the value which is paired with this key, and in the set we use one key right here and value after that, which is going to create and add another item to our map. But another thing that we can use with this set is to change the value of something inside of our map. So let's say here we want to change this. We use this 8 right here for our key, and for the value we use our simple 100. And now if we console log again our map into our console and run our code, you can see that now here we have this 8 to be value at 100 and not this number right here. So we can override our items by this set method. Another thing that we have right here that again is one of the difference between our object and maps is that in maps we have our size property that if we print that into our console, you can see that we got the number of items inside of our map, and we can use to do anything, something like of length of array to loop through or do anything that we want. But let's say here we have this map right here, and we want to remove the second item inside of our map. So what we can use is that we can use our delete method right here and pass the key into this. So this is number 8. So we use this one right here. Actually, I need to have this separately in the separate line. And then let's print our map into our console. Now, if we run, you can see that this time we got 2 items inside of our map, which is this number 4, referring to this number, and number 15, which they are item 1 and item 3, and we don't have this number 2 anymore. But let's say we want to clear all of these items from our map. So what we can do is that we can use simply this clear method right here. And now if we run, you can see that we got empty map with no items inside of it. Another thing that we can have right here is something like a searching, that we have this has method right here, that if we use this right here inside of our console log and use this has method right here and pass the key into our method, for example, let's say we want this 4 and run our code, we got the true value because this map has this item with the key value of 4 inside of itself. But if we have to be some other numbers that not inside of our map, it's not going to work and gives us false value. But what if we give this value number to that? If we use that and run our code again, we got this false result because this has method is going to search inside of keys and see if this number is inside of keys or not, and not looking for the values. Another thing that we can use right here inside of our map is our forEach method, which here, we need to have this function right here, and inside of this, we need to have our value right here and our key after that. And inside of this, we can say, let's say console log key right here, then we can't get that. Let's actually make this in separate line. Then here, let's say referring to, actually we need to have some spaces here. And after this, we can have our value right here. And now if we run, you can see that we got each of our items to 4 referring to 807, 8 referring to 473, and 15 referring to 444 right here. Another thing that we can have inside of our map is our entries method, which if we console log this item and print, you can see that we got this pair of keys beside of their values inside of array as we inserted right here inside of our code. So it's going to give us a pair of key and the value that we can use inside of our items. But how we're going to work with that? You know that we can use our forOf in our maps. So we use this I right here of our map, which is a.entries. And now if we console log our I into our console, you can see that we got each time one of these right here. And if we use simple indexing right here, for example, if we want only keys, we use this to be 0 and run. This time we got only the keys right here. But if we use the second index right here inside of our array, which we're going to console log and run, we only got the values and not the keys. And another thing that we can have right here is that we have this keys function right here. And if we run this one, you can see that we got this object with the keys of our map inside of it. Another thing that we have inside of our maps is our values method. And what this does is as same as our keys method, but instead of keys, it's going to grab the values of our map and put these inside of object and return that for us. And for example, let's say if we have some items for our key names right here, let's say this is item 1, item 2, and at the last we have our third item right here. And let's say here, each of them has some pricing as value to there. By using these values, we can grab all of the pricing of them and, for example, create some of the values and prices and return that to our customer, for example. But as you know, we can have any item and any data type in our keys of our maps. So let's say here we have some objects right here. We have this person 1, for example, with the name of Mark, and let's say age of 16. And just as same as this, we have 2 other ones, which one of them is 18 years old and one, let's say, 26. And the names, let's say one of them is Tim and the other one is Jack. And this is person 2 and person 3. In maps, we can use objects as our keys. For example, let's say these are some grades or account balance of these one. And let's actually use balance right here. And here we use person 1. Here we need to have person 2. And at the last, we're going to have our third person right here. And these are going to be just like this. And if we want to print that, and we use this console log right here, and use our get method right here. If we use this person 1 right here and run, you can see that actually we need to change this to balance 2. And if we use this person 1 right here and run, you can see that we got person 1's account balance right here. And just as same as this, of course, we can do this with person 2 and our person 3. But pay attention, if we use this as string and run our code, we're going to have error right here because our keys are not string and our object in this case. And if we want to search a line of this, we need to pass the object and not string. As same as this, if we use this has method right here, if we use the string and run, you can see that we got the false. But if we use object right here and not the string, you can see that we got our true value right here. Another thing that we have inside of our JavaScript related to map is our group by. So let's say we have this cars array right here. And inside of this, we have our object of our cars, which that contains the name of the car. Let's say this is car 1 right here. And after this, let's say we want to have our top speed right here. And let's make this one 80. And we have a bunch of these, just like this. So the thing that we can have is, let's say we have this a variable that we save our result into this. And here we use our Map.groupBy method right here. And here, first, we need to declare what array that we're going to work with that. So in this case, we have these cars. And after this, we need to have function that we're going to create right now. So let's create our function right here with the name of f1 just right here. And here we're going to use and get the thing that we want to group items based on that. So here we want to group based on top speed. So we use this top speed, but pay attention that we need to have these in these curly braces just right here. And here we want to return values based on the top speed differently. So here we have our simple if statement right here, which says if top speed is lower than 100, return the word of slow, else return the word of fast. And now after this, here if we use our console log right here and print this A which we used right here and print that, you can see that we got a map of 2 items, which the first thing is fast items and the second thing is slow items. Fast items are going to be inside of array, so this is the key, and this array is our value. Again, this is key in the slow, and this array is our value. And inside of our value here, we have objects that they are fast, which the top speed of them is higher than 100. And here in the slow, inside of array, we have the objects and the cars that the top speed are lower than 100. And what this function does is going to come to see what array is this. It's going to grab these items and pass each one into this function. And this function is going to grab these items top speed one by one. So if we don't want to have this in this shape, we can have remove the top speed brackets from there. So we use the car right here, and here we use car maps.topspeed right here. And now if we run, again, we got the same result. But if we use this kind of syntax, that we use this property name right here and put that into these curly braces, we're going to directly select this property and not the object itself. And it's going to check if this property is lower than 100, it's going to return this word, or it's higher than that or equal to 100, it's going to return word of fast. And this function again, based on what object returned what word from this function, is going to group them and make them in separate groups. So the items that return the word of fast inside of our function right here, let's say we want to check this second item right here. We're going to have this function to pass that item into our f1 function. And here inside of f1, it's going to grab this top speed value, which is 170, and check if that is lower than 100 or not. Because 170 is higher than 100, and this is false, so it's going to run this else part and return the fast word. And when this item returns fast word to our GroupBy function and method right here, this is going to put that into this fast items right here and add that item into this array. And we have the same thing that we can use this cars to do actually just the same thing but in objects. And if we run this, you can see that here we got object of fast and slow and doing the same things for us. But pay attention that this object, if we use this kind and this object group by, is going to return some object for us, and this A is going to be object as you see right here. But if we use map, it's going to be map for and return map for us. And in some cases that we want to divide them by number, let's say if it's lower than 100, we want to return number 1, and it's higher than that, we want to return 2. If we use this object right here and run, you can see that we got these one to be in string mode of number between of these quotations. But if we use map instead of that function and run our code again, you can see that we got the number and not a string format of our number. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.